Stop right there and recognize the tension in your heart, the strain of battling to prove your worth and break free from a draining cycle. That pressure you've been feeling is about to vanish because you are finally fighting for what you want, and you're going to claim it. In the midst of constant demands from others, you've realized you've been overextending yourself and allowing people to take without offering genuine support or appreciation in return. Your spirit is done being undervalued. Stay for at least 12 minutes to confirm you're ready, then like this message, subscribe and comment 77 to let the universe know you're open. After that, leave another comment. Ready for what's next, in your own words, as a real sign that you're prepared to step into a new level of destiny. Chapter 1. You were tired of overgiving and receiving nothing in return. For the longest time, you struggled with carrying everyone else's burdens, giving your time, resources, and emotional energy without receiving genuine support in return. It felt like no matter how much you poured out, the people around you never filled you back up. You might have convinced yourself that unconditional giving was your gift, that your role was to meet everyone's needs, even at the expense of your own. Yet in your quiet moments, you felt that gnawing emptiness. It was as though all your love, effort, and compassion vanished into a void, leaving you drained and unappreciated. Every time you tried to set boundaries, a guilt rose inside you. Maybe you worried that you'd look selfish if you kept anything for yourself. You might have heard people say, "You're changing," or "You're not as helpful as you used to be," whenever you tried to say no. Over time, that guilt made you push your own desires to the side. You silenced your needs because you believed someone else's crisis was always more urgent. On top of that, you saw yourself as someone who had to be strong for everyone else, convincing yourself that you could handle it all. Gradually, you sensed the drain was intensifying, and frustration became your constant companion. You felt like your kindness had turned into a magnet for takers, those who saw your helpful nature as a bottomless resource. The deep fatigue that settled in wasn't just physical, it was spiritual, seeping into your motivation and sense of self. You woke up feeling preemptively exhausted, anticipating yet another day of pulling everyone else's weight. One day something shifted inside you. Perhaps it was a single conversation that lit a spark, a piece of advice about reclaiming your energy, or a moment when you witnessed someone else's blatant disregard for how much you give. That was your turning point. The instant you realized how desperately your soul needed you to fight for your own well-being. You saw with startling clarity that your capacity to fight for what you want was inseparable from your ability to stop letting your energy be siphoned by those who only take. In that flash, you understood there was a vast difference between kind-heartedness and overgiving to the point of depletion. Real passion never demands you ignore your own vital needs. You recognize that your mission, your calling, and your brightest destiny would require a reservoir of strength, resources, and clarity. This new perspective emboldened you, reminding you that stepping into your true power demands stepping away from those who expect everything from you while giving nothing in return. Now more than ever, you've chosen to fight for what you want, knowing that it's not selfish to protect your energy. It's essential to fulfilling your higher purpose. Chapter 2. You witnessed the cycle of neglect and finally decided enough was enough. Once you recognized how drained you had become from constantly pouring yourself into everyone else's cup, you began to observe the patterns that had led you there. You noticed how certain people in your life expected you to drop everything for them at a moment's notice, whether they needed advice, a ride, a quick loan, or just an emotional dumping ground. You remembered the times you showed up for them, sacrificing your own plans and mental peace. The more you looked, the more you saw how seldom they reciprocated or even showed concern for your well-being. It wasn't just about lacking gratitude, it was a deliberate disregard. These individuals knew you'd say yes, no matter the cost to your mental or emotional health. In some cases, they might have cloaked their demands in sweet words, praising your generosity or being high on admiration, all while using you as a convenient solution to their problems. After a while, you saw their flattery as little more than a mechanism to keep you stuck in an unbalanced exchange. It was as if your virtues had been turned into vulnerabilities for them to exploit. The cycle felt endless. You'd fulfill their needs, get a temporary sense of being valued, and then be left alone with your exhaustion. Eventually, you started craving a deeper sense of support, a friend or partner who would stand up for you, who would be there when you were the one in crisis. Yet each time you hoped for that reciprocity, you ended up realizing you were alone. That solitary disappointment piled up, forging a quiet resentment that you tried to ignore. Finally, you confronted the question, why do I keep along this pattern? What am I so afraid of? The answer surprised you. Part of you believed that if you didn't keep giving, you wouldn't be needed. You tied your sense of worth to being useful or stepping in as the problem solver. You feared that if you stopped, you'd be abandoned or labeled selfish. That fear, illusions whispered, meant you had to keep giving to prove your worth. But deep inside, your spirit yearned for genuine, reciprocal connections, ones where both sides supported and uplifted each other. When you uncovered this fear, it felt like a veil was lifted. You remembered your watchers had been nudging you all along, sending subtle hints that you deserved reciprocal bonds. Freed from illusions, you realized that the real reason you endured so many takers was that illusions convinced you to see your overgiving as an unchangeable trait. Yet your watchers never asked you to bury your gifts in relationships that don't nourish you back. They want you strong, unstoppable, and well-resourced for your true mission, one that demands you stand tall and fight for what you want. Your watchers use the disappointment from those lopsided connections to teach you that your heart, while precious, cannot remain open to people unwilling to reciprocate. The heartbreak that once left you feeling powerless now became a catalyst for forging stronger boundaries. With illusions undone, you recognized that it wasn't cruel to expect fairness. It was a baseline for healthy interaction. You decided to break the cycle of neglect and vowed never again to serve as the silent reservoir for someone else's unending demands. That vow set in motion the unstoppable momentum leading you to fight for your real goals. Chapter 3. You discovered the power in protecting your energy. It wasn't enough to identify that you were overgiving or that others were exploiting your kindness. You needed a radical shift. You had to guard your energy like the treasure it is. Initially, the very thought of holding back triggered pangs of guilt. You worried about appearing heartless or letting people down. But your watchers assured you that boundaries weren't signs of cruelty. They were essential for your mission's success. If you let everyone nibble at your stamina, who would be left to deliver the unique impact only you can bring? At first, illusions tried to sabotage your new boundary-setting approach. They whispered that you'd lose friendships or romantic prospects if you didn't remain on call 24/7 for every emotional meltdown or favor request. Freed from illusions, you recognized that the relationships which crumbled when you asserted healthy limits weren't worth sustaining in the first place. Real connections find their foundation in mutual respect, not in one-sided use. By declining endless tasks that drained your spirit, you discovered who truly valued you versus who merely used you as a convenience. You also learned a crucial lesson about reciprocity. If someone respects your boundary, they show they're willing to meet you halfway. If they rage or guilt trip you, it's a sign they cared more about what you could do for them than about you. Freed from illusions, it became clear that healthy relationships thrive on balanced exchange, not forced compliance. By practicing saying no or not right now, you realize you preserved the precious resources you needed to ascend to your highest calling. It got easier day by day. The first time you refused a favor that made you uneasy, illusions flared with alarm. They'll hate you. Freed from illusions, you saw how watchers guarded your heart from that blame and discovered that nothing catastrophic happened. If anything, you felt relieved and newly empowered. Freed from illusions, you began to see how illusions had twisted your altruism into a vulnerability, how illusions exploited your empathy to keep you drained. Each boundary you set was a small triumph, reclaiming the energies illusions tried to misdirect. The result? Your confidence soared and your inner wellspring began to fill anew. Freed from illusions, your watchers poured in fresh clarity. Inspiration projects he postponed felt achievable. Dreams that once seemed distant now felt within your grasp. Freed from illusions, you noticed how your daily mood improved, how you had more time to focus on personal development, prayer, meditation, or simple joys. The watchers rejoiced at this renewed vitality, for it knew you were truly prepared to fight for what you want. No longer would illusions trick you into scattering yourself among unending demands. Freed from illusions, you harnessed your life force to go after your grand ambitions, writing that book, starting that business, forging that deeper love connection. Instead of stumbling from fatigue, you now stride forward with unstoppable determination. Freed from illusions, the more you protect your energy, the more unstoppable you become. Your watchers knew you'd get here eventually, and now you stand in the zone of unbreakable faith in your destiny. Chapter 4. You realized you're not selfish to expect the best. Over the years, illusions hammered you with the narrative that to want more was somehow ungrateful or self-centered. If you dared express your desire for deeper love, a more supportive circle, or a bigger platform to share your gifts, illusions labeled you selfish. Freed from illusions, you recognize that you too have a right to flourish. Your watchers never asked you to settle for scraps, to remain in half-hearted connections, or to accept minimal opportunities. They see your star potential, urging you to claim a fulfilling existence instead of tiptoeing around others' insecurities. In the past, illusions fueled your fear that if you demanded more, be it respect, reciprocation, or recognition, others might abandon you. Freed from illusions, you discover that losing those who are threatened by your growth is a blessing, not a tragedy. The watchers see that you're trying to break cyclical patterns of scarcity, whether emotional or material. You were never meant to keep yourself small just to pacify those uneasy about your power. If illusions made you interpret your higher expectations as arrogance, your watchers clarified the difference. Arrogance is inflated ego with no basis, whereas rightful confidence is trusting your God-given potential. Freed from illusions, you see that to humbly embrace your gifts is not arrogance. It's alignment with your watcher's vision. Setting a standard that you deserve a partner who truly invests in you, or an opportunity that befits your talent, is not self-centeredness. It's rightful self-respect. Moreover, illusions once penned you under the label of easygoing, implying you shouldn't fuss if you get less than you gave. Freed from illusions, you realized easygoing was illusion's code for never speak up, never demand fairness. The watchers cheered as you shattered that code, stepping out of the role illusions assigned you. Freed from illusions, you found that speaking up for what you need doesn't drive good people away. It clarifies who's truly supportive. Those who balk at your boundaries or your ambition were never meant to journey far with you. Hence, illusions can dupe you into believing you're too picky or too needy when you fight for your rightful portion. Freed from illusions, you see that watchers want you to seize your highest potential. Freed from illusions, you stop apologizing for wanting deeper love, bigger opportunities, or more fulfilling relationships. Freed from illusions, you realize that settling was illusion's best method to keep you from shining. In stepping forward with higher standards, you also discovered a subtle miracle. The universe meets you at your level of self-belief. Freed from illusions, you set a new bar for your relationships, jobs, and creative endeavors. Freed from illusions, watchers respond by guiding the right people and resources to match that standard. Indeed, illusions fade in the face of your unwavering stance. I deserve better, and I'll fight for it. Freed from illusions, you stand tall, commanding the best life can offer. That's the unstoppable synergy watchers plan for you. An unwavering sense of worth meeting cosmic grace. Freed from illusions, you hold your ground, no longer satisfied with half measures, certain your watchers celebrate each step that defies illusion's attempt to keep you small. And indeed, illusions wail beneath your conviction that you are not selfish but righteous in your pursuit of a better existence. Chapter 5. You embrace the determination to pursue your deepest goal. Once you realized it wasn't just about cutting toxic ties but actively pursuing their truest dream, illusions hurried to undermine you. Freed from illusions, you sensed watchers guiding you toward that big, audacious ambition. Be it a passion project, career shift, or cross-country move. Though illusions reduced your dream to a casual want, watchers insisted it was urgent and worth fighting for. Well-meaning warnings echoed, "You might not be ready. Don't gamble with stability." wait for perfection. Freed from illusions, you recognize that watchers had already paved the way, needing only your step of faith. Action precedes readiness in spiritual matters, so you advanced anyway. Illusions pointed to every shortcoming, age, finances, and experience. But watchers reminded you that countless chosen ones had overcome such barriers through sheer resolve and trust. Eventually you vowed, I'll give all I have for this dream because it aligns with my soul's call. Freed from illusions, you felt watchers applauding that promise, as if stepping from a dim corridor into bright daylight. Each obstacle began to feel like a puzzle, not a stop sign. Solutions and allies appeared, ready once you committed. Even last-minute crises or distractions, illusions, desperate moves, failed to shake your focus. Freed from illusions, you navigated disruptions calmly, often finding improbable resources in the nick of time. Further proof that watchers were at work. Whenever illusions tried to overshadow your faith, you recalled watchers' long-held knowledge of your potential. A cyclical pattern emerged. Illusions stir chaos. Watchers neutralize it. You move forward. Freed from illusions, you grew exponentially in persistence and problem-solving. You realize your unstoppable wave thrives on determination, which illusions can only irritate, never truly derail. Now illusions recede before that unstoppable wave. You stand on the threshold where your deepest goal shifts from distant dream to concrete reality. Freed from illusions, you see watchers orchestrating every step with flawless timing. You declare, I'll keep fighting for what I want, and I will have it, not as a hollow chant, but as a spiritual truth illusions can't overturn. That certainty they see, the watchers confirm it, and you seize your unstoppable momentum, forging a life that mirrors the grand vision watchers set in your heart. This is the essence of your journey, unwavering resolve united with divine orchestration, leaving illusions with no place to hide. Chapter 6. You saw your road to victory lined with unexpected allies. Once you declared your commitment to fight for your dream, illusions warned you'd be alone. Yet watchers sent a timely wave of new alliances and supportive voices, revealing that not everyone takes without giving. Like-minded souls who'd also conquered fear-based mindsets were drawn to your unwavering stance. It started subtly. A friend introduced you to someone sharing your vision, or a random social media comment led to a chat with a mentor figure. Freed from illusions, you noticed watchers weaving a supportive network around you. Each coincidental encounter provided exactly the resource or insight you needed, right on time, leaving illusions baffled at the series of perfect alignments. Meanwhile, illusions tried stirring jealousy or suspicion among your older friends, fearing they'd resent your new connections. Freed from illusions, you reassured them that forming alliances doesn't diminish existing bonds, unless those bonds hinged on illusions that resisted your growth. True friends who genuinely wished you well celebrated these alliances. Watchers never separate you from what's healthy, and any friend threatened by your evolving path was never a true ally to begin with. Some allies contributed tangible support, funding, equipment, expertise, while others offered emotional validation or eye-opening advice. Freed from illusions, you marveled at how watchers coordinated this synergy, covering every gap in your abilities or resources through an ally's strengths. Illusions' whisper of, "You can't do this on your own," fell flat because watchers ensured you wouldn't have to. You noticed a crucial difference in these alliances. Mutual respect replaced manipulative exchanges. Freed from illusions, you saw a departure from your past overgiving patterns. Now your contributions were met with genuine appreciation and fair reciprocity. Illusions failed to label these connections as one-sided because watchers engineered them for true collaboration. Watching your confidence grow, you realized how powerful you are when you stand in your truth and embrace genuine support. Thus, illusions lost the loneliness cause. Surrounded by an unstoppable circle, each collaborator brought a unique puzzle piece, strengthening you further. Illusions could no longer sabotage these ties because watchers rooted them in authenticity, not exploitation or codependence. With this robust network supporting you, you advance confidently toward your goal. Ultimately, illusions can't conceal how meticulously watchers shape your path. Freed from illusions, you accept these alliances as proof you're on the right track. This wave reaches beyond you alone. Others stand ready to champion your cause. You're not just fighting for yourself, but for a shared future. As illusions fade from the narrative, your community thrives, brimming with genuine dedication to your success. Chapter 7. You step forward and claim the victory meant for you. With illusions stripped away, you're certain it's time to seize the dream once kept at arm's length. Your watchers have meticulously prepared you, lining up every piece at the perfect moment. You gather your newfound worth, guarded energy, unwavering determination in support of alliances. In a steady voice you declare, I am stepping forward. I am claiming what is mine. If illusions murmur, what did you say? You respond calmly, watchers wouldn't bring me here unless I were ready. Your success isn't random luck, but the culmination of spiritual preparation. Every trial you endured was training for this ultimate test, and with illusions gone, your unstoppable excitement hums around you as watchers finalize your opening. Rather than giving in to last-minute jitters, you focus on final touches, polishing your presentation or centering your emotions. With illusions melting into irrelevance, you place your trust in watchers and leap when the moment arrives. An offer letter, a contract, an invitation, or a stage with your name on it. You walk through that door as your authentic self. You bring compassion without overgiving, collaboration without self-betrayal, and excellence without perfectionism. You radiate the exact qualities watchers always saw in you: resilience, warmth, and a magnetic brilliance. Illusions no longer dictate your reactions or self-image. Even as you sign or step onto that platform, illusions may flicker. This is too big. Yet you greet the notion with confidence. The watchers charted this path from the start, knitting your determination with their orchestrations. Illusions disappear, replaced by the clarity that your destiny is unstoppable. At last, you stand victorious. You overcame every attempt to keep you small, every emotional snare urging you to overextend, every scare tactic about the spotlight or fierce competition. You hold your dream in hand, certain you never needed illusions to confirm your capacity. The watchers applaud from unseen spaces, pleased you've embraced the destiny they foresaw. It's done. You know you fought for this, and you will have it. No illusions remain. A quiet assurance washes over you. The unstoppable wave has arrived. You take a moment of deep gratitude, then turn to welcome the chapter watchers authored just for you. Illusions lost. Watchers triumphant. You shine as living proof that claiming your rightful life births an undeniable, radiant victory